Shit. That's mine, my bad. Talking about vibrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Wise Take? It's Thursday night. It's NFL Wildcard Weekend. It's another edition of Father and Son Building Blocks. I'm your host, Patio Joe. You can follow me at Twitter at Patio Joe Rep. And I'm joined here tonight once again by my son at Cam G DFS. What's going on, Cam? How you doing today?
Doing good. It's going to be another NFL playoff round, so that's always fun. You and I were talking a little bit before the show, and like it seems like it's going to be kind of like a one-game slate, right? With that first game, and then everything else you're going to try to have to figure out. I mean, for the most part, that like Dallas Seahawks game shouldn't be too difficult, but the other games I'm interested to talk to you about because I'm a little like indifferent on a couple of them, how I think they're going to go, but yeah, it should be fun. I mean, NFL is awesome. You get two games like staggered, so pretty much like a full weekend of football coming up, and whenever you get staggered games, you can gamble on them. It's like the best because it's like a slow tilt, so it's awesome.
Yeah, and as I'm not sure how DraftKings does, but as you know, like FanDuel broke it up the slates. We got one single slate for Saturday, one single slate for Sunday, and then we got a combined one. Guys, what I'm doing is I generally just the playoffs are crazy, and I like to just enjoy it. And I found out a couple of years that it kind of takes away the enjoyment of the playoffs if player X doesn't do right on your DFS lineup, and you miss a real great game. But like, remember that game a couple years ago between Green Bay and Arizona, where the Green Bay won in overtime in Arizona?
Do I remember that?
Yeah, of course you do. So, but anyway, oh no, Arizona won that game. I'm sorry, I forget.
Yeah, I thought you were joking.
No. I remember that game, and I remember watching it and being like, this is an amazing game, but I didn't have the right players on my DFS lineup, and I hated it. And I was like, this game sucked because I thought I was gonna win, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
But anyway,
that happened to me. That actually happened to me last year. I had, I think it was like the AFC Championship, NFC Championship slate, I believe. No, it was the week before that. It was when the Saints played the Vikings, and we had the Titans versus Tom Brady and the Patriots. And I stacked the Patriots and the Titans game. Like it was the first game, and it went off. I got like 2 Corey Davis touchdowns, an Eric Decker touchdown for cheap. I had like 3 James White and Brady pairings, just those two. And I was like way ahead, and I was winning like a pretty good amount of money. And then that last Diggs touchdown like fucking took me all the way back because he was owned. I think I had like Thielen or something because I tried to get a piece of that game. But that was wild. I was just sitting there. I was like, wow, this is crazy. But I agree with you. It definitely does make you enjoy the games less, but it can also make you enjoy it more if you have the right
if you win. Yeah. It can work the other way too. I look at this slate, and we're gonna just basically go game by game, guys. And we're gonna say who we like in each game. And we're kind of just gonna predict the games on who we think's gonna win this week. Playoffs are crazy. Anything can happen. Turnovers, can swing one thing. An injury can swing one thing. So we don't really know. The funny thing is, like we talked about, is the first game of the week is the highest total. We have it's 47.5 right now, or it's 48. It's opened at 47, now it's at 48. We got Indy, pretty hot team, traveling down to Houston. It's the third time that they're playing. I feel like we talked about, everybody's going to be going to this game. It's going to be tough. Like if you're going to be playing cash, like I feel like there's probably like at least 3 plays from this game where you just lock them in for cash games, if not 4, and just move on. And because, by the way, guys, if you're gonna play cash, I would tone it down too on that, because you're gonna be playing a lot of 2-on-2s. Everybody's gonna be having Zeke, everybody's gonna be having Hopkins and Hilton and stuff like that. So it's gonna be the one guy. If you don't hit on that one guy, you might not win. So tone it down. Just You know the right plays. You just got to dig a little deeper. Cam, what are you seeing on this game? Who do you really like? I mean, obviously the normal plays. You know, we got Watson, we got Luck, we got Hopkins, we got Hilton, and we got Ebron. I think those are like the 5 main plays. Who else do you like? Anybody else? And who do you got winning this game?
Right. I mean, like we were talking about before, I think this is like the obvious game on the slate. It's the one that sticks out to everyone. Like, you don't need to be a genius to come on DraftKings and be like, oh, this game looks good. You're going to play Luck. You're going to play Watson. You're going to play Nuke. You're going to play TY. Ebron's in a great spot. I think those are like the 4 good guys. I'm kind of seeing probably going to have some ownership on Inman. And if throughout the week too, if the updates on Kiki Kuti's health is going to come up, I could see him having a little bit of ownership as well, just being the first game and the highest total by far. So I'm kind of having those 2 guys like the value chalkier guys in Inman and Kuti, because Inman's scored like 15 plus DraftKings points the last 2 weeks, and he's like 4-3. And then Kuti, everyone loves playing him. He's 4K, opposite of Hopkins. So I don't love those 2 plays, honestly, in tournaments, just because I think the ownership's going to be pretty saturated on those 2 guys. And there's a couple like pivots I like elsewhere in the other games that I feel more comfortable with, and I think just have more tournament upside and more beneficial to like moving up the leaderboard. So I think they're fine, but just know that they're going to be chalky if you're playing them. But other than that, there's more. I'm more looking at some tournament guys. I'm not playing Marlon Mack at all this week. I think this game script, everything kind of with how Houston's defense operates, just does not have like the right situation for Mac to kind of be successful here. So I'm not playing him at all. I think Lamar Miller's fine just because of his price on DraftKings. He could have somewhat of a floor there with the receptions in this matchup against the Colts. Don't love it, but like if you're trying to get a little different in tournaments and you're fading Nuke, like I'm sure someone's going to score in this Houston game. So I would probably want to at least have a little bit of Houston exposure if you're kind of getting away from Nuke. And then the last guy I'm looking at on the Texans is Ryan Griffin at tight end. 2-6 on DraftKings. Last time they played went 5 for 5. 5 targets, 5 receptions, and 80 yards. Indy's been kind of yielding a lot of fantasy points to tight ends recently. So at 2-6, you're kind of just punting that position. It allows you to get Zeke, TY, some of those guys, or if you tend to go like a more balanced build, it allows you to pretty much do whatever. And if Ebron has one of those games where he drops a few passes, touchdowns, whatever, you kind of leverage at the position with Ebron or with Griffin there at the saving. So I think he probably has the second best tight end matchup on the board on this 4-game slate, outside of Ebron, obviously against Houston. But that's what I'm looking at. I mean,
who wins the game?
Oh, I think the Colts win. I just trust Luck, although I am a little bit worried. I trust Luck and their coaching staff more than I do Watson and like Bill O'Brien. I know they're at home, but I just think Luck's like on another level right now. And I just watching them play, like it seems like the whole team's in sync and like they have a plan, they know what they're doing, and they have the guys that are like able to execute the game plan, where I feel like Houston's more kind of like their offense isn't as structured. It's more on the go, which I mean, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think Watson's just going to kind of freelance this whole game. And he could pull it out because we've seen him in college just like do crazy stuff against Bama, have like really good games and really meaningful games. So I do like Watson, but I think the Colts ultimately win the game.
Yeah, I think, we got to be digging deeper into some of those plays. Dontrell Inman, one thing I will say is he's going to be lined up against Sharice Wright in this game. And Sharice Wright and Dontrell Inman went up against each other many times in practice with the Chargers. So they know each other. So I don't know who that really lends a +2 or not. I don't. They're both just basic players, but Sharice Wright hasn't really stopped anybody this year. So DVOA, Houston against the number 2 receiver is not very good. I think they're, what did it say? I saw they're 18th. Now, like you said here, Colts are 29 DVOA against tight end. So Ryan Griffin is obviously the play. He's almost the fact where I'm starting to see his name more on Twitter. He's 4,100 on FanDuel. So he's even below 4,500, which is like mid price on FanDuel for most players. So it's kind of hard not to play him at the tight end position if you want to fade Ebron. Because obviously, you could play Ertz and there's Trey Burton on the later slate. But man, you look at it, I think Blake Jarwin will just be like, last week's darling, so people will play them. I think that Mark Andrews, you might have to take a look at too, just because he had that big game a couple weeks ago, but that's still kind of fluky. But if you look at his numbers, he has produced the last few weeks. He looks like he's the emerging tight end in that offense. So, tight end's a tricky spot. But, yeah, Ryan Griffin I think he might be, like, pretty chalky just because his price is so bad. He's at 4,100 on FanDuel. But I got the Colts winning this game, too. I think they're just coming in too hot. And just, like, I think it's just going to be luck is just going to tear up the secondary. If the Indianapolis line can hold, and not get him sacked, they're going to win the game.
I mean, I have there's some Colts guys that I'm looking at for like tournaments that my article's out on the website at Wise Take. Whoever's like a subscriber can go check it out. But I have a couple like GPP darts for the Colts that I think are pretty sneaky, who are probably going to be under 10% owned just on like a 4-game slate. So I think that's pretty interesting. But one of them, I just wrote up, it's not like kind of like a GPP tournament play. I just kind of threw them in there. But what do you think about like just playing like a Mo Alley Cox or something? Like, I don't think I get there, but I think he's worth like a somewhat, maybe like a 30-second discussion, just because it's Houston versus tight ends, right? And he's been getting snaps. If they kind of bracket TY, I could see a scenario where they just keep throwing to their tight ends because Indy loves their tight ends and like this offense thrives. I mean, we've seen games where Indy's tight ends have scored like 4 touchdowns in one game. So it's not out of the question where this guy could catch 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, you win a slate by playing a guy like that, and he just happens to hit. I mean, you can look at Chester Rogers. I don't know how he did last week, but 2 weeks ago he got 7 targets against the Giants. So if you think that he'll be in the slot a lot when TY isn't. So if you like him, Pascal is questionable. So there's not much. DeAndre Carter, I've heard a couple things about him this week too, but there's nothing really that like Vincent Smith, I guess, but nobody really that you have to play.
What do you see? I actually have tournament interest in not Marlon Mack but Naheem Hines. I think this is kind of a game for him if Indy's smart. I don't think they're going to line up Mack and try to like jam it down Houston's throat for 2 yards. I think they'll get luck probably in the shotgun and just kind of like pick apart this zone D for Houston. And I think Hines is more of like the pass. He is the pass catching running back. So and he does get like red zone work in normal packages too. So I mean at 3.5, if you think or if like you think what I think and they're gonna pass a ton, I can see him getting 5 to 6 targets in this game. If all those are completed, he has 5-6 points right there, plus whatever the yards he gets on those and a potential touchdown at 3.5 at probably really low ownership, I'm guessing. I don't think a lot of people will play Hines, I think a lot of people are gonna just go like Luck, Ty, Ebron, or Inman. So I will have Hines on some of the tournament teams I'm making.
You see, I think I'm going to double up on that, and I agree with you 100% on him. I feel like we've unearthed a player. Another reason why I like him is that I think that even if you think the Texans are going to win, that means they're going to be ahead.
That's what I wrote up. Yeah.
So, okay, so December 9th, he didn't do much. He got 3 targets for 16 yards. But let's go back to the first meeting in Indy. He caught 9 catches on 11 targets, 63 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
If he does that at 4,800, he doesn't even half of that.
He's 3.5 on DraftKings too.
He's 4,800 on FanDuel. He's definitely more of a DraftKings play.
Yeah, but still, even on FanDuel.
I agree. You're gonna have to find a lower running back to pair because you can't play Zeke. Especially on the Saturday only slate on FanDuel, I've tried to do it. You can't play like Zeke and Carson and Hopkins and all these guys without having to throw in some dart.
And you don't even want to do that, right? Like, I feel like if you're doing that, you might as well just not play or just like, you know what I mean? Just because that's what everyone's gonna do. So I just feel like it's kind of stupid if you're playing this week, guys, like just go through and make like the optimal build. Just go click Luck, go click fucking Ebron, Hilton, and Hopkins and start with there and then fill in the rest. And then like start toying with your lineup and be like, okay, like I'll go down from this guy and like make multiple teams or something, because that's what I'm gonna do, just to like reassure that I'm not playing like these guys that are just super like chalky, because otherwise why play, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. So we both got the Colts to win this game. Let's move on to the night game. This is the nightcap. Everybody's gonna be partying Saturday night. I love this game. This is a good night to go out to the bars. I love this. I love the playoffs, man. Just it's so much fun because everybody's watching the same game at the bar, especially in LA. That's a different thing. Maybe where you live and where you used to live in Wisconsin, everybody's watching the Packers.
We watch
in LA
reruns if we're out of the playoffs.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. Who do you want them to hire as coach too?
Oh God, I don't even know, man. I've seen so many rumors. Like,
I kind of like McDaniels. I like that thought. McDaniels was.
Yeah, I saw McDaniels, and like I've heard rumors where like there's actually like a really good possibility that he comes there. So, I mean,
I heard he likes them or the Browns. So
yeah, I think he's gonna have his pick.
Okay, you know what I do? If I'm McDaniels, I go to the Packers, just because these day and age, if you don't win right away, you're done. You know, you got the best one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the game. I love people like Baker Mayfield. Let's calm down on him a little bit. You know, he had the chance to etch his mark as a rookie last week and eliminate the Ravens, and he threw an interception. Let's move on. We got Seattle, Russell Wilson traveling to Dallas, the Jerry World. Boy, it's gonna be packed. It's gonna be rocking. We got the point spread at 43, went up a little bit, or over under at 43, and we got the Cowboys as a little bit of a favorite. I'm going to just start off with this one. I think that it's going to be Zeke all day, as they said. If you look at Russell Wilson's history against the Seahawks, it's not very good at all. He's had 2 matchups against them.
Dak, you mean?
Dak, I'm sorry. Yeah. Dak against the Seahawks, and it's not very good. He's had a couple matchups last year, week 15, 14 to 20. What was he? I'm sorry. I'm trying to right here. Okay. 21 to 34, 181 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Now, that was without Zeke. So it's a little different. But earlier this year, they played and in Seattle, I think, and they got trounced. So, you know, I think that it seems to me like Dak has a little bit of problems with the defense that, you know, the Seahawks run. But I still think that in order for Dallas to win this game, Dak has got to do something. And at his price at home, I don't mind playing him. He is 7,500, so he's a little bit lower than anything else. You can still get Hilton and Hopkins and all that. And you can get a piece of that game without having luck and still have maybe Dak down at below, because the quarterbacks are kind of like, you got to think like who can have, there's not very many. I guess there's a couple that can have like a 20 or 30 point game, but most of them, I think it's just going to be like trying to like not have them kill you. So Dak at 7,500, I think if they want to win this game, he's going to have to do something. I like Zeke. Obviously, he's going to be probably the highest owned running back on the weekend. It's just, I don't know why you wouldn't play anybody else, especially in most formats. I guess you could fade him if you wanted to, but they even said he's looking for his biggest workload of the year. Obviously, the receivers, I'm looking at Michael Gallup more than Amari Cooper. Seattle seems to struggle a little bit more against the number 2 receiver as they do the number 1 receiver. So kind of like that. I kind of like Cole Beasley. Those are the kind of like low plays. On the other side, Chris Carson's going to be heavily used again. This game might be over in 2.5 hours. They might both run the ball like 50 times, pass it 25 times each, and it could be over quick. In the end, I think if a receiver you want, obviously GVPs, I think Tyler Lockett is, obviously a good dart throw because he could go catch a couple bombs, do good. Doug Baldwin has come on of late, so I don't mind him either. But there's nobody really I'm going to be looking at on the other side. Russell just doesn't throw it enough. So, but in the end, I think the Seahawks are going to win this game just because they're more. I got the Seahawks winning. Yeah. Just because they're more. I like Russell Wilson better. I'll take Russell Wilson over Dak. What you got in this game?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I would take Russell Wilson over Dak too. But in terms of fantasy, I do have interest in Dak here on DraftKings. I didn't like him like earlier, but I kept researching and I kind of like him more and more. Just it's more attractive to me to try to pay down at quarterback, get some more salary for some of these like positional guys, and he does have some rushing upside here, and also like he's at home and you can play Dak and get a pretty decent amount of this offensive production for Dallas. So I'm kind of warming up to him a little bit. I initially had 3 quarterbacks that I was kind of playing on this slate, and I think I'm going to add him. I think he's going to be my 4th. So I do have interest in Dak. I don't like Russell. I do like him like in this game per se, but not in terms of like DraftKings. Just has to be like super efficient with like his throws, and like he has to have probably 3 to 4 touchdowns for me to really like be happy with what he does. I'll just kind of take some of these guys for Seattle, the positional guys in this game, but this is actually my favorite like game stack actually for tournaments, just because I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, this game's going to be very slow pace, like kind of like you said, it's going to be over in 2.5 hours. But I mean, a lot of these like playoff games aren't going to be fast. If you look at the games just going on, it's going to be Baltimore Chargers. That game, the clock's going to be fucking burning the whole game. And then you have Philly Chicago, which it's going to be cold at night, or at 4:00 into the night in Chicago. It's going to be cold. Those 2 offenses, I don't think are just going to start running and chucking it all over the place. So I could see so I think obviously like stack is Indy Houston, but I kind of like this Seattle Dallas game just because I really know, or I think know, right, where a lot of this production from the offensive side is going to come from. You obviously have Zeke. I think he's probably just a guy you have to play and just eat the chalk, right? I mean, he's 9K on DraftKings. I don't know what he is on FanDuel, but like he's getting receptions now too, which just makes him even safer of a play. A bad game in a playoff game is for him because I would assume if Dallas is smart, he's going to touch the ball 30 times, right? Like at least in a playoff game, win or go home. Like why wouldn't you give him the ball 30 times? So I like Zeke. He's going to be on all my teams. And then Chris Carson at 6'8", a little expensive on DraftKings, but I still like it. I mean, I don't really necessarily love attacking this Dallas like run D, but at the same time, Carson's just a guy who's getting the volume. Not going to get a ton of receptions, but like Seattle's going to score. Russell Wilson's going to be able to move the ball in this defense. And like Carson can get a lot of red zone carries, and touchdowns are touchdowns on these playoff slate. And I think there's a lot of potential in Carson, and he's going to get the volume, probably 20 to 25 carries in this one as well. I'm not really concerned about like Mike Davis or Penny. They haven't been playing them all year. So why would you fluctuate now in a playoff game? That would just be stupid to me. So I really like the idea of like playing Zeke, Carson, and then you could even like play Cooper at 7-5 and just really lock down like 75 to 80% of this Dallas offense with upside to 90% if everything goes right. And I like Lockett here for like the long ball upside, and Michael Gallup. I wrote him up. Like it's funny how the industry changes its tone on a guy in like 1 week, right? I mean, 1 week he's 20% owned on a 12-game slate, and then the next week or 3 weeks from now, which like is a 4-game slate in the playoffs, and no one's gonna play him. And he's literally the same guy. He's at home. It takes one ball. It takes 50 air yards, which he loves because he ranks top 10 in air yards. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and he catches the ball, 1 touchdown. He's 3-6 on DraftKings. I don't know what he is on FanDuel, but I'm sure he's not like
he's 5,700.
Yeah. So if he catches 1 ball for 50 yards and a touchdown. Static. So this is my favorite game stack. Like I feel like I can really pinpoint where the production is going to come from. I'm not playing Jarwin at all. 3-3. I don't really care about the savings. That was like a kind of like a weird game. I mean, they didn't play Zeke.
Play if you play him.
Yeah, like
for sure.
Like you didn't have Zeke. Zeke's gonna get the ball 30 times. Like don't play Jarwin.
You're chasing points.
Very confident in that fade. So this is my favorite game stack. Play Zeke, play Cooper. You can even throw in Dak if you want, and like lock Carson on the other side and Gallup to get weird.
Who wins the game? Seems like Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think this game to me is the toughest to call. I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It really is. Like I just think it's whoever could dominate the line is going to win.
It's tough to really know how a game's going to go when like Russell Wilson's playing in it, right? Like he's just so good at what he does that it's just tough to really like pinpoint what they're going to do. I mean, he could just come out and put up like a quick like 14 points on Dallas and I wouldn't be shocked. Or they could be down by 21 the whole game and they could come back in the fourth quarter and score 3 touchdowns at the fourth and I wouldn't be shocked. So it's weird. I just like Dallas at home, right? Like, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm just going with. I feel like they have the better team overall. So I'm just going to go with Dallas at home and kind of bank on that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's move on to.
I'm interested to hear this one.
Let's move on to the next game. We have the Sunday game playing early. The 1:05 start on the East Coast, 10 o'clock on the West Coast. The Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
Wait, is Lamar Jackson a rookie playing his first playoff game, or did he somehow just fucking learn how to throw a football and like gain 10 years of experience.
He's doing well. Am I missing
something here?
He's doing well. I mean, he made one really, really good throw against the Chargers last game.
I've also seen him miss like fucking 8 throws in a row. So
yeah.
I just think it's funny how like all of a sudden, or like the Chargers legitimately, without like Melvin Gordon being injured and stuff for the last, which we have to talk about and consider as well. But I mean, they could have easily been the number 1 seed, and now they're like going on the road, which does suck. But like this is a number 1 seed team pretty much going against a rookie quarterback and like a gimmick-ish offense, which they just faced a couple weeks ago. So like, I feel like a lot of people are just like loving Baltimore and like Lamar Jackson, and just kind of seems like a spot where like the Chargers come in and kind of take care of business, but could be wrong.
Well, what the public is seeing, and me as a kind of in the middle of the road Charger fan, I see things every way, is I just, if they just keep blitzing Rivers, that's what scared me, is that the offense did not play very well in the first game. I did not like the offensive production. Now, that game was also the first game that Melvin Gordon was back after his knee injury. So he's been back 2 weeks. They might get Hunter Henry back. I mean, if you want to play Hunter Henry, if he's back, go right ahead. I could see him playing maybe 10 plays in the end zone. He's a big guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? I could see him doing it. So, Stephen A. Smith, if you're watching this, all right, Hunter Henry could be playing on Sunday. My thing is that what people, I think most of the public knows this, but the Chargers are undefeated out of the state of California this year. They have not been beaten out of the state of California. They went 7-1 on the road. Their only one road loss was to the Rams in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. They then went 5-3 at home.
Yeah. So, you know what's like really weird too is they have like a narrative of playing bad on like the East Coast, and they've actually played really well, like traveling across the country.
Yes.
Because I've faded them a couple of times in DFS just because of that purpose early on in the year, and they put up like 40, and I was like, shit. So yeah, they've played well. So yeah, I agree with you.
The Chargers were the first AFC team since 2011 to go into Seattle and beat Seattle. They then went into Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh. Then they went into Kansas City and beat Kansas City. I don't care how loud or how cold it is. The Chargers believe that they can win the game on the road. I don't know why they play better on the road. I can't tell you why. I don't know why. But I know this. When they're at home, it's almost like a road game. These guys always feel like they're on the road. So I know this. If they go in and beat Baltimore, that means that they would go, if the Colts win, they would go and play Tom Brady up in New England next week. After winning on the road at all those other places, go to New England. They can beat New England on the road. They can beat anybody on this point. So, but let's look at how this game is going to go DFS-wise. I think the defense that might win you this slate is the Chargers defense this week.
Because 100%.
I don't think anybody's going to be looking at them because of what happened last time. But yet, if you look at the games, Lamar Jackson has not faced the team twice. I don't believe he did. I don't think he faced any of his division teams. So, like you said, you brought it up. This is a rookie quarterback facing a team twice in 3 weeks that is pissed off. First of all, to beat a team in the NFL twice is hard anyways. Right. But yet to beat them twice in 3 weeks, these guys, trust me, they know. I think that I wish that they would have played a little bit better in Denver because the offense looked sloppy in Denver too. They didn't seem to get in any rhythm. So that's what scares me most about this game, is that I wish they would have been on the right foot and just put the hammer on Denver. But I have the Chargers winning this game. I love the Chargers defense. I'm not really into the whole Rivers thing. How they win this game, though, is probably, I would say, what are the guys that have blown up? Mike Williams. I think Eckler. You can look at Eckler, too. Tyrell Williams. Those are some lower-end guys. People are going to go to Keenan, which, believe it or not, Keenan Allen's also, he was coming back from a hip pointer, I think, that game, because they came off of the Kansas City game, which he got hurt. Then he came back, so maybe he wasn't even 100%. So, I think the Chargers win this game. They could totally lose this game. But I think they can. They should win this game. They're a better team. They proved it all year, but we'll see. I think Lamar Jackson will be very popular in cash games because that's what he's been very popular in cash games. I look at pros cash lineups, and he's almost in there every single week. So I think he's going to be very popular. Gus Edwards might be in there a little bit. And obviously John Brown is a guy that could always break something, but Casey Hayward's going to be on him. I'm not really into him. So Mark Andrews at tight end. I'm cool with that. And that's about it. This game, obviously a lot of people are going to be picking the Ravens D2, but I think this game is probably going to be, I don't know about the least played, but third, at least third. You know what I mean? Like the Sunday games are not going to be very played that much.
Oh, no.
Slate,
I mean, I don't really like anything from this game besides the Chargers defense. Like they're my top defense this week. Just because, I mean, everything like you said, they've played better on the road and everything, but I just like the fact that like they're playing a rookie quarterback who has kind of gotten along like all the starts, kind of just based off of like unfamiliarity to like opposing defenses. So they're not used to like defending some guy who runs out like a option out of the pistol, right? Like that's very non-traditional in the NFL. And now you get a team that just saw him 2 weeks ago, adjusted well in the second half.
He only had 39 yards rushing the entire game. So it's not like he ran all over them. He had that one pass to Andrews. Right. And then there was some stupid mistakes by Rivers. The first drive he throws a pick, the first play of the game. So it's just it was a weird game. And as long as the Chargers don't do that, I think they're going to win the game.
Right. And I just look at the personnel, and I think like you guys, like your defense is just matched. Like you have really good playmakers to stop Lamar Jackson. Like I just don't see a scenario where barring like Baltimore changing their offense this week and like running completely different shit, like I think that the Chargers defense should be able to handle it. And I think that Lamar Jackson's a rookie. If the Chargers somehow get a lead in this game too, I think people are really underestimating the fact, like I think they're just assuming that Baltimore is just going to like score on the first, second drive, and like Baltimore is going to be able to run the ball all day, and then Lamar's going to have 2 pass attempts. What if Phillip Rivers throws a touchdown to Keenan Allen or Terrell Williams?
By 14 points.
They could be down by 14, and then Lamar Jackson has to drop back and start throwing. And how good would that be for Joey Bosa and a secondary for the Chargers against that? Like huge upside for that Chargers defense. So, I mean, they're like the 3rd cheapest defense on DraftKings. And I love every second of it just because I think a lot of people are riding Baltimore, and I don't really understand it personally. I wrote up that I'm going to have no exposure to any Baltimore players this week, and I'm going to have all the exposure to this Chargers defense. So outside of that, I might take a few shots on some of these like Chargers playmakers. I don't think I get up to Melvin at 7-7 just because I have to play Zeke. Like, I mean, I don't have to, but I'm going to. And I think Eckler's fine at 4-4 if you want to get a little weird. But the guys I see myself playing more would be like a Mike Williams or Tyrell Williams. Just kind of like touchdown equity at the wide receiver position, and it kind of goes along with maybe potentially them getting the lead in hopes that Lamar has to drop back and use his arm outside of his legs.
Okay, here's the thing. This is more game theory thing. Let's just say, for instance, if you're gonna fade Zeke, you have to play Gordon.
You have to play who?
You have to play Gordon if you're gonna fade Zeke.
Oh.
Because he's the only guy. There's only one other guy besides Gordon that could even match what Zeke could do, his ceiling. Gordon has a ceiling just as much as Zeke if he were to go off. He's proved it all year. They were neck and neck until Gordon got hurt. Gordon was like top 5 running back. I had him on my seasonal team. The only other guy that's had like those boom games like that is like Tariq Cohen.
I just
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm just saying, like, if you fade Zeke, you have to play Gordon because he's the guy that could match whatever Zeke could do, even if
right. So I've toyed around with that, but like you necessarily don't have to like match at the position, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so you could like fade Zeke, but like I think if you're fading Zeke, then you like have to pay up for like Hopkins, Hilton, and like almost Cooper too, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like if you fade Zeke, you have to use that salary to pay up at wide receiver. And like one of those wide receivers that you're paying up for, in my opinion, has to be Cooper because, I mean, if Zeke doesn't, I think Dallas is going to score points on the Seattle offense. But
couldn't you then just play Seattle D though too? If you're going to fade Zeke, you got to think Seattle D is going to come up big, right?
You could.
You know?
Yeah, I guess you could.
You know?
I just think that Dallas is going to score points. So I think if like Zeke,
I agree. I'm not saying to fade Zeke, but I'm just saying if you wanted to fade,
I just feel like Gordon's ceiling is like lower in this matchup.
Yes, he is, and he hasn't shown the burst since the Arizona game before he got hurt.
He's been banged up since he's come out of Wisconsin, and like when the dude's 100% healthy, he's arguably the best running back in the league. But like, I just think right now he's still dealing with some shit, and I think that limits his upside. Now, if it was a healthy Gordon, like I would not even really care that he's playing Baltimore because Nick Chubb had some really good runs against Baltimore as well. So I just don't know if he's healthy,
Yeah, so we both got the Chargers moving on.
That's scary.
Let's move on to the last game. We got the defending Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles, traveling to Chicago where it's going to be cold. I'm sure it's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. It's a night game, as we said. It starts at 4 o'clock. We're going to have a Joe Buck special with Troy Aikman. You saw my tweet earlier this week. How mad was Joe Buck when he didn't have to? He's like, oh, my God, I can't do the Dallas game. I'm playing on Saturday. No, I got to get over to NBC. And Chris Collins was like, oh, we get to do the Dallas game. I get to blow Ezekiel Elliott all game. Yeah. Like that, I guess that it's become a thing now in bars on Sunday, like the slide in or something that they do. It's like the biggest thing. Like they show it on Twitter now. It's hilarious.
It's like everyone erupts when like, he comes out. Yeah.
Comes in like terrible.
Throwing pitchers of beer up in the air and shit.
Yeah. The other best thing that happened this week is that Mike Mayock got named as the Raiders GM. You know why? I don't have to listen to his ass for 4 days on the damn draft thing where he knows everything about everybody and everybody's the greatest damn talent ever. But it's like, God damn, either. Anyways, that's my rant.
Raiders should be on Hard Knocks next year. They have a lot of like TV guys that
could
really pull that thing together.
The league can force them to do it too, I think.
Yeah.
Like 5 teams or something.
Man.
So what do you got in this game? I have one player kind of in my back pocket that I think might be giving the Bears fits all day. I'll save him. For you.
I have one too.
But you keep going. You keep going. You keep talking. What do you think is going to happen in this game? Because I can see this game going many, many ways.
Yeah, I agree. This is the one where I'm having the hardest. Like, I mean, the Chargers is a contrarian take, but I think like I'm actually confident in that contrarian take. Like this one, I don't know, man. I could see it going like both ways because I think Chicago's the better team.
They should. The Bears should win.
Right, but at the same time, like, I mean, Philly's just coming off a Super Bowl. They just had this very identical run to this last year. And, like, I mean, Foles is in now.
They're underdogs.
Yeah, they know what it takes. Like, they have nothing to lose, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter to them. They won the Super Bowl last year. Like, They're hungry for it again, and they're on the road and they're underdogs, so they don't give a shit. They're just going to go out and play as hard as they want. And Chicago's at home. Everyone's jerking them off in Chicago. They love them. They're the best thing ever. Khalil Mack, Mitch Trubisky. They're amazing fucking wide receivers that they have. Like, what the hell? I mean, I wrote in my article that their best player is their offensive coordinator. Like, look at their personnel on offense. I don't think Mitch Trubisky is going to go and, like, he's not, like, the most talented guy, right? Like, I could definitely see a scenario where, like, Philly just goes in and just beats Chicago because this is also Mitch. I mean, he's not a rookie, but this is his first playoff game. He's at home. I think that could have hurt him, honestly, because there's a lot of pressure on him at home. If fucking throws a pick or something, everyone's pissed. Like, that could get down. So I do like Cohen a lot in this matchup. I think he's kind of like game flow dependent. So he will be a Bear that I have a lot of. I think the Bears are going to be forced to use Howard as well. So I do like the running backs for that side, but man, it's literally a pick 'em, like who I think is going to win this game. So I'll have like builds that go both ways just because this is like the one game where I'm not exactly sure, but I kind of have like the two plays that I do have from this game that I'm confident in are kind of like game flow independent in a way, which is why I like them. But yeah, I like Elshon. I like Elshon on Philly in this spot. I think Ertz is just specifically like a game theory play. I don't really think there's any like logical reason why you would really play him at 6'4" on DraftKings at least. I'm not exactly sure what he is on FanDuel. 7.6 on FanDuel, so I don't know. I just wrote up like if you have the salary for some weird reason and you want to like make a game theory play because he should be somewhat low owned and does have a 30-point ceiling. I don't think he does in this matchup necessarily, but that's about it for Ertz. I'm not going to play him. So just for the last side on Philly, I have a lot of interest in Darren Sproles actually. 4-1 on DraftKings. He's my like tournament guy this week. I had Sproles and Nyheim Hines written up in my article. Like him a lot.
I'm like a proud father who's hearing this.
This is like a scenario, right? I mean, just thinking about how this game goes. You're going to be potentially down or facing like some sort of crazy pass rush. If they're smart, they're going to have a lot of packages, which are quick dump routes to Sproles, get some blockers out in the open space. You're avoiding the pass rush then that way. And then you're also getting like a talented guy out in the open field against some guys with like blockers out in front of him. And this guy's still quick. We've seen him have long plays for touchdowns this year. So at 4-1, no one's going to play this guy. Absolutely. He's going to be under 5%. And
I love Sproles this week.
Has reception upside, especially like has
return upside.
Yeah. So
turn a punt.
I really like him. So he's my favorite Eagle. My second favorite Eagle is Jeffrey. And then I also wrote up Nelson Aguilar as a pivot to some of those chalky guys on the Houston Indy game. Just looking at the last couple games with Foles, Aguilar has been eating over 20 points. So, and I think he's going to be somewhat lowish owned. I don't think he's going to be chalk. He won't be like super contrarian, but I think he'll be lower than he probably should be because I think people will be scared off this matchup where it's just a little bit better of a matchup with some of the injuries in the Chicago secondary. So for me, just to kind of recap, because I was talking for a long time, which I tend to do, it's Cohen for the Bears. I really like him. I think this is a good matchup. He's my favorite. And then for the Eagles, it's Sproles and Jeffrey and Aguilar for the value, but it's really Sproles in tournaments. And I'm going to also, I didn't mention this, but I'm going to also have some Trubisky, Tariq Cohen pairings at quarterback just because I don't love it, but Trubisky has had like super high upside games, and this Philly secondary has been trash.
Yes.
So
I agree with you.
Trubisky.
I agree with you on that, but I'm going to cut you off on this. I'm going to say one thing. I seriously, I look at Trubisky. I'm like, well, this is the guy that can win you Slate. This is like the Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Like, he can get you 20 points. He did it. He did that, right? Yeah. Well, it's right there, right? It could happen, right? Okay, here you go. First big game of the year against Seattle. 2 picks, okay? Let's go to the next big game, okay? Against Minnesota on that Sunday night game. 2 picks. The following week, Sunday night against the Rams. 3 picks. Big games.
Yeah, for sure.
Eagles win. Trubisky will make the mistake this week. Eagles win the game. That's why. Because you look at his history this week, you could tell he's good in the games where people aren't really paying attention to him.
Yeah, for sure.
But the games where the spotlight's on him, aside from that damn Thanksgiving game against a crap Lions team, okay, he's done crap in big games. That's why as much as Trubisky's got that ceiling, Eagles win this game. I will take the more experienced team to win this game. Nick Foles, I'm going to have them win. Darren Sproles was my guy. He's the guy I like in my tournaments. He's the guy to do it. I also like the Eagles D. If you think the Eagles are going to win this game, it's going to be the Eagles D. Maybe if you play Sproles, play the Eagles D. Sproles runs back, boom, that's like a double points. You know, it's a Yahtzee play, as I call it. But yeah, do you think the Eagles win this game?
Fuck, man. It's so hard for me. I think if the Eagles if the Eagles play how I think they're going to like line up X and O's wise, I think the Eagles. So yes, I think the Eagles win, but I could also be fucking cucked by the coaching staff and whatever. But
that's true.
I think if they play the way like they should, that puts them in the best position to win, then I think they will win. I just don't know if they'll do that. But that's why,
as long as the Eagles don't get down by 17 points, they're fine.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you with Trubisky, right? Like, he's been not good recently. I think like in a game of this scenario, like I said, with like a lot of pressure of just being at home because everyone has super high expectations. Like in Chicago, I think it's almost worse that like this game's at home. And yeah, I just like have to have some of him against this Philly secondary because
no, I get it. No, I see where the upside is.
I do.
See where it could happen.
Even if Philly like goes ahead, then I think there might even be more upside for Trubisky. Like if we think that Philly's gonna be ahead in this game, I think that might also be better for Trubisky, honestly, because he could start scrambling, running around, using actually like his legs and shit, and that might yield more fantasy points than if they get ahead and just pound it to Jordan Howard 25 times, you know. So that might actually be a blessing in disguise if they struggle early.
All right, real quick here. So we both had the Colts winning. We both had the Chargers winning. We both had I had the Seahawks. You had the Cowboys, and we both had the Eagles winning. So thus that would pit the Colts versus the Chiefs right off. Who would you win that game? We're gonna pick our Super Bowl teams right now. Okay.
Colts.
Colts. All right. Chargers, Patriots. Who wins that game?
Patriots.
I say if that we have it right there. I say Colts, Chargers. Go to the AFC championship game at that point. NFC, we would have then the Eagles traveling back to New Orleans and taking on Drew Brees and the Saints. Who you got?
Saints.
All right, and then we have Dallas and or Seattle taking on the Rams. I think we both would have the Rams winning that game against either of those teams. Yeah. Okay. So thus it would be in the AFC title game. it would be the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, to which the Colts will beat the Chargers because the Chargers are playing at home. They can't win at home. Colts go to the Super Bowl. On the other side, Drew Brees and the Saints. We have a rematch, Colts versus Saints. Saints, Colts. That's what I got. Who you got? Did we lose you?
I agree. A couple Millie, the member, him and I were chirping back and forth. I think last Saturday night we had a few beverages in us, and we were talking some playoff in the Slack chat, and I actually he asked that question, and yeah, I had Indy and the Rams. So I do kind of wish I could go. I wish I could go back on that because I actually do think out of my drunkenness, I thought about it, and I was like, I think the Saints win that game. But I have to right now, so I got Colts.
Yeah. It's funny that we got the Colts going, but I honestly, though, I think any team.
Dude, I love their team. Like, I watched them, and I'm like, this looks like a team that could have – they're super hot. Like, it's all about getting hot at the right time. There's not a hotter team in the NFL than them. I really like them, so.
That being said,
kind of bold.
The Chargers and Colts will probably lose this week, and we'll just be picking the games from next week. So, anyways, guys, they say Aguilar maybe getting some food, but maybe. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week for the NFL Wildcard edition of the Wise Take Podcast. Be sure to join us Saturday for the no, I don't know when we're going to do the Wise stream. Do we know when they're doing it? Like maybe Saturday morning or tomorrow night? Do we know? Did we lose Cam? We might have lost Cam. So if we lost Cam, I don't really know. We're doing a Wise stream if you're a Wise.
But I'm frozen.
Okay. He's frozen. All right. We're doing a Wise stream. I'm pretty sure. So guys, just make sure that. So be sure to hit the like button. If you're on Podbean, give us a thumbs up. Do all that stuff. We really appreciate you. We will be back next week to do the divisional round. It's the best weekend of football of the year. So for my man, my son, Cam, I'm Patio Joe. And as our man CK, the godfather of the Wise Take Nation, says, good luck. Yeah. There you go. That was longer than I thought, man. We can talk. That's the thing, though. When you just talk about the games, you can almost talk more.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.